Hello, Mrs. Bonkoski and your class at my old school, St. Joseph's in Erie. I hope the cornfields are doing well and everyone's got a pumpkin that they're going to carve. I get your questions. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to answer. Some great questions. I'll start with kind of the odder ones first. One of them is, do you know which church is the oldest in America and who built it? I had to go through lots of journals and through historical archives to find out that the oldest, apparently according to Wikipedia, is the San Miguel Mission in New Mexico, 1610, so only 400 years old. But that's the oldest building, I guess, and the oldest congregation is 1698 San Juan Bautista in New Mexico. So St. John, St. Michael, pretty cool guys. In case you're wondering, wrong. It's harder than it looks. This guy right here, that's Pedro Rupe. He's one of the basically kind of like bosses of the Jesuits at one point. They call him Father General. He's a pretty cool guy. He was actually there in Japan when the atomic bombs went off and helped treat people who were, feeling the side effects of the atomic bombs, burns, and all that sort of stuff. Let's see. You asked me. When I was younger, what did I want to be? When I was at St. Joe's, sitting on that desk, trying to booby trap my desk for when other kids sat at it. What did I want to be? I wanted to be like an aerospace engineer. I think that's what I wanted to do. And in high school, my decision was between being a school teacher, teaching history, and being an aerospace engineer. And they're not exactly the same. I loved math. I loved history, so those are kind of the two things I wanted to do. Let's see. What is my favorite thing to do at seminary? Well, technically, I'm not in a seminary. We're at what's called a novitiate, so it's a little different. The guys at the seminary, there's one actually 2 miles down the street. They have like a more intense kind of like university course schedule, which I don't get into for 2 years. A lot of what I'm doing these first 2 years is having work experiences, ministry assignments, some school, spiritual direction, prayer, stuff like that. So what is my favorite thing to do here? One, I really like playing basketball on Monday nights. That's one of my favorite things. Other thing is we have community dinner every day at 6. I love community dinner, sitting down with everyone and talking, laughing, making fun of each other. But also getting to know everyone. And then, one of my other favorite things is that before I came here, I didn't have a lot of formal structure in my prayer life. I was kind of trying to commit to doing a half an hour of prayer every day, but here you're committed to an hour of prayer every day. So actually one of my favorite things is that every day I pray for an hour, which is totally new, but it's very grounding. There's amazing graces and fruit that come from that in your friendship with God. So that's one of my, and we have this teacher here too. I should also mention, aside from like sports and community time and my prayer time with God, we have this teacher here who just makes us laugh all the time when in class. He just has the most ridiculous things, like absolutely ridiculous, and it's hilarious. I actually have a notebook of all the things that he says, so you might want to have a notebook to keep track of everything Miss Bonkoski says that you guys find funny. Let's see, what can we do to cure ourselves from the flu? Well, I'm no scientist, but I have heard from John Tesh on the radio that honey can actually really help speed up the process of being sick. So he said something about if you took like 2 tablespoons of honey a day, you would basically help stave off like half the colds that come by. And the same thing, if you did the same thing while you were sick, you would actually shorten the length of time that you were sick. So I don't know, I'm a big fan of honey, so eat honey. Buy local, go get it. There's places near you where you can get honey. What is my top goal in life? Besides retiring at the age of 30, I would say my top goal in life is, at this point in the game, my top goal in life is to be as close, as closely bound up in Christ and in His work as I possibly can. If you asked me 10 years ago, when I was 18, what would be my biggest goal in life? I don't know. To be married and like have a job that I didn't hate. My goals probably weren't that high. Yeah, have a house on an island or something like that. That would have been cool. Man, when I was in grade school, what would my goals have been? Jeez. Man, when I was in grade school, middle school, my goals were very simple. It was like to get a girl to like me. Like that was as big as my brain kind of was thinking at that time. It, I don't, probably be like $500,000. Have a wife who played the cello, and yeah, have a lot of food to eat, stuff like that. Is the seminary good or better than you thought it would be? Well, actually, guys, like, break me out of here, because it's a prison. No, life here at the novitiate it's just so much more fun than I could have ever thought it would be. I have basically 27 other people who I live with here. We all have our own room, but we share like community bathroom, community kitchen, community living room, community computers. We have our chapel, we have a community weight room, stuff like that. So, but everything here. So I got all these guys I'm living with, and they're just so much fun. It's like this house of friends. So it's like going to your friend's house to spend the night and you have a great time, but it's like doing that for your life, but then having all of your friends there. So there's at least 27 other guys who are amazing. So, and they're all my good friends. So that's like one of the best things. It's just how much fun it is and how much diversity. So I can play music with guys. I'm learning how to play the mandolin. So I can play with them. I can go play basketball. We can just hang out and talk. We can cook. Half the time I find myself in the kitchen late at night eating a snack and just hanging out, talking for like an hour. It's really cool. So it's a lot better. It's a lot more intentional, with people. Like, people really talk about things that are true to them. They open up. They don't just hide everything, so they're very free with that. Prayer and the conversations we have about religion and theology and spirituality are great. Everything. I mean, I can rip on people. I'm a Michigan fan, so Michigan's doing really well. So I can rip on, like Ohio State or Sparty. Or, the Lions are doing terrible right now, so I take a lot of flack from other people about stuff like that. And I'm the only guy from Michigan who's one of the novices like me. Some of the older guys who are the directors of the novitiate, they are Michiganders as well. But I'm the only guy from Michigan right now who's a young guy, so got to represent. So, it's a phenomenal time. I can't explain to you how fun it is to be here, but also how much growth there is. I work at this place where I help people from Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Brazil, El Salvador, Mexico, Russia. These people speak English because they've immigrated to America and they're refugees. Maybe they're fleeing war or famine or something like that. So it's just, I have all these really cool opportunities. And then I go to this Spanish parish where I don't really speak Spanish, and I just kind of like fumble my way through, like, sí, yes, gracias. So it's a really, really fun time, and a great time of growth, and a great time to grow as well in prayer and in spirituality, and to kind of gain that depth that a lot of us don't seem to make time for when we're living our everyday lives, because we're like, well, I got homework, or I'm busy, or I'm doing this with a friend, I can't, I just don't have time. Life's busy, so that's been like a really big area for me as well. Let's see. There's these questions here that say, why did you choose this path in life, and how long did it take you to decide to go to seminary? How long did it take me to choose this path? I don't know. It depends. My grandpa told me when I was like 9 years old at Cedar Point, he said, Nathan, there's something about you that's different, and I think you might, have something to do with the church when you're older. And so immediately my thought was like, oh my gosh, my grandpa thinks I'm going to be a priest, and I didn't want that. So I was like trying to put that off in my mind, didn't want to think about it. And so I guess you could say that's when it started, and that was like when I was 9 or 10 years old. But, I kind of I think I looked at it in the wrong way, because what I think the truth is that God is always inviting us. He's always calling us, just like in all the parables you read about. He calls the disciples, he calls the apostles. He's always inviting them to be in communion with him, to be with him. And I think what I always misunderstood was I was just always seeing this sort of kind of call, maybe perhaps to a vocation to religious life. I was seeing that as something that was taking things away from me, not as an invitation, something that was forced or pushed on me, which isn't how God operates. God is freely inviting us and allows us that freedom to respond yes or no. And regardless of our answer, God continues to love us and continues to say yes to us. So, I started really seriously thinking about it and praying about it and actually being open to this idea of vocation probably 3 years ago. Otherwise, throughout most of my life, I would think about it. And then I would date someone, and I'd date them for a while, and then I'd be like, well, I'm not gonna be a priest because I'm gonna get married to this person, and then the relationship wouldn't work out, and I think, oh, now that I'm free from the relationship, I'll think about it, and then that would last like a month or two, and then I start dating someone else, so and then you ignore it again. You're like, oh, I don't want to think about that. So that's kind of how it worked for me. And when I really started seriously thinking about it, you have to visit places, and that's when I started to really recognize maybe this is where I'm called. And then I did this 8-day silent retreat, and I left thinking, wow, this is a choice that God is allowing me to make in freedom. It's not forced on me. And, what a beautiful life it is to be called by God. I mean, all of us are called. And in this way, this is a beautiful way to serve God and serve His church. So at that point, on my 8-day silent retreat, the fifth day, I decided that I would apply to the Jesuits. So that's kind of when it happened. So I don't know how long it took me to decide. You could say when I seriously started discerning, maybe 2 years, 3 years. If you go back to when I was 10, I mean, then it's 18 years because I'm 28 now. So, yeah, and I can say that there's no other path in life that, to me, would seem any better right now, which is really surprising because when I came out, I was like, man, there's going to be a bunch of weirdos there. How am I going to get along with people? Like, are they going to be, like, really uptight? And like I said, everyone here is now my friend, and this really is, it feels like home. So send me more of your questions, or maybe you guys could do a video of you. Like what kind of things could I ask you guys? Oh, I got an idea. I don't know which grade you're in, so Miss Bonkoski, you'll have to tell me what grade you're in. But I actually was in school with Mrs. Bonkoski's son, Philip, her oldest son, her firstborn. And let's see. My question is, do you guys pray at home? Do you pray on your own? And outside of like maybe praying at meals with your family, do you pray? 2, what are you learning in school or in religion class? 3, what is your favorite thing to do outside of school? Play video games, play sports. 4, how is the St. Joseph Panthers soccer team doing? Because it's fall, and I love soccer, and we always used to struggle with St. Mary's was our big rival, and I want to know who you guys' rival is. So thanks for listening, and I hope I can send this to you, and you guys give me your questions.